Children's television weren't always dirty words. The golden age of children's television stretches from the 1940s to the 1970s, but I contend that a shard of that wonder persisted through the ultra-commercial 1980s, if you know where to look for it. So, what went right? Don't worry, I'm not going to attempt to cover the entirety of Fraggle Rock in just one video. Rather, I'd like to focus on the series in parts, and today's part is an analysis of the overreaching structure of the show and just why it worked the way it did. The best kid shows of the 80s were those that tended to be highly educational without the heavy-handed preachy style that would develop by the end of the decade and unfortunately persist through the 90s. While I'm also planning a separate episode on Jim Henson, many of these kinds of shows either came from his production studio or they were involved in some way. His works can best be described as being emotionally educational, as opposed to something like Square One, which was entirely traditionally educational. Therein, however, is where the real magic lies. Children learn about themselves and the world around them while being entertained, transported to a fantastic world with its own ways and means, and thus take more away from the experience than, "Today we have learned how to count to 20, and that sharing is good." The end. What it comes down to is that Fraggle Rock was never just the stories of the Fraggle population. Rather, Fraggle Rock is a macrocosm of interlocked communities, just like the real world. And its stories are the relationships between the characters as well as those communities, just like real life. That's where we come to the real magic that Jim Henson and his team wove into the show: osmosis education. Children becoming intimately and innately aware of concepts without active learning. One problem that's dogged educational television from the beginning is that it can often seem heavy-handed because even at a young age, children have already come to associate learning with work, a chore, something that's boring or unfun. Their preferences play, things that are free from effort and supervision and are therefore more fun. Good educational television should function like Fraggle Rock, giving children a world easily accepted into their mental landscape, where emotional concepts are discovered with the characters, as fun play, not boring work.
You mean I'm not an oracle? Oh, Gobo. Oh, Gobo, you were right. This is a big mess, and it's all my fault.
Don't worry, Moki. It'll be all right.
But how? The Fraggles no longer want to think for themselves, and I don't know how to change that.
Well, we'll just have to come up with a plan together.
You'll help me?
Sure. I said I was your friend, didn't I?
The main community of this system is the titular Fraggle Rock, a colorful place where carefree, fuzzy Fraggles dance and play. Their society emphasizes happiness and social cohesion above all else. However, it is not repressive, nor is it in anarchy. Fraggles have roles, seemingly self-assigned based on individual personality, which they take as seriously as a human might take their job. For example, Boober does the laundry. Moki is an artist. Uncle Matt and his nephew Gobo are explorers. Convincing John is a persuasive public speaker, and Candace the Minstrel is a traveling musician and wise man. Responsibilities exist because they are expected of each Fraggle, but again are never oppressive. The Fraggles exist in a society close to the utopian ideal of children allowed to live according to their passions. However, this society can't live by utopia alone. Fraggles are shown eating a variety of things, but their main diet is radishes and radish byproducts. This ties them to their two closest communities: the giant Gorgs who grow radishes in their garden, and the miniature Doozers who use radish dust to make edible constructs that supplement the Fraggles' diet. Of the two races, the Doozers are the closest bound to the Fraggles. Their society is an antithesis to their neighbors. Where Fraggles espouse happiness and being carefree, the Doozers live in a rigid society based on responsibility, endless engineering, and construction. They build because they always have, because it is in their nature to build. And the Fraggles destroying and eating their constructions isn't taken as malice, it just frees up more room to build. For example, in one episode, the Fraggles decide to stop eating Doozer works, and soon the caves are clogged with construction, significantly hindering both communities.
Hi, Cotterpin. Me and Staple are going out back and play work crew. Wanna come?
Oh, give me a break, Rich. We're gonna be workers in a couple of days. Who wants to play at it? Besides, I gotta study this dumb instruction manual.
Haven't you finished memorizing that yet? The architect is gonna have a fit.
Don't remind me.
You better stop drawing those silly pictures and start studying. A Doozer'd think you didn't want to become a worker.
Oh, Doozer'd be right.
Cotterpin Doozer, you're nuts! Why, getting your helmet and becoming a worker is the greatest thing in life.
On the other hand, the Gorgs see the Fraggles as vermin, as a farmer would see rabbits that eat his crops. Though there are only 3 of them, 2 parents and a younger son, they form the micro-community of the garden. These creatures don't have much lateral thinking ability, and while they claim to be nobility, rulers of the entire universe, they live in isolation. It's possible that they're the last of their kind. The Gorgs' relationship with the Fraggles, however, is more beneficial than they realize, as the Gorgs often have problems that the Fraggles are able to solve, even if the Gorgs are never aware of it.
Then the Gorgs are doomed to wander the universe? Freezing and homeless? And it's my fault.
Oh, wait. Come on now. Let's not think of this as a blaming situation. I mean, consider the alternatives. How can you get your castle back?
I can't. I'm a dunderheaded lummox.
You know, you're really taking a very self-destructive attitude.
I'm already destroyed.
No, you're not. Why, well, you may not be the most intelligent creature in the whole world, but you have many special qualities.
Oh, boy.
Just focus on those qualities and use what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, the Fraggle's right. Yeah, I can still win if I use what I have.
Oh, that's the spirit.
While the Gorgs provide sustenance to the Fraggles in exchange for unintentional assistance, they also provide a font of wisdom in the form of Marjorie, the trash heap. The Gorgs' refuse pile is a sentient being, a wise old woman who acts as a sort of oracle for the Fraggles. They treat her with great reverence and respect, making the dangerous journey across the Gorgs' garden to consult with her. The trash heap isn't a godhead, however. She's a representation of the wisdom of age and the combination of all things. She wasn't even sentient until her rat attendants, Philo and Gunge, discovered her existence. However, her wisdom and advice are often far from perfect, where the spirit of her words might be correct, even if the literal words are not.
Oh, great trash heap! Hello from the world of Fraggles!
Hello from the world of garbage.
You are in the presence of
The all-knowing
trash heap. Yeah.
I see all. I know all. Did you bring me a present?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We brought you this.
Oh, a beauty thing. Well, what do you wish to know?
We need your advice. Our friend Gobo, you see.
Don't cry over spilt milk. That's terrific advice.
Yeah, the trash heap has spoken.
For all that is fantastic about Fraggle Rock, it's also grounded in the real world. The Fraggles Caves include a tunnel that leads to another micro-community, Doc's workshop. Doc is a human, an old man inventor who lives with his dog Sprocket. As a human, Doc seems to have a racial blind spot where Fraggles are concerned, though Sprocket is able to see them and, as any good dog, barks and tries to catch them. Every day, Gobo makes the dangerous journey to Doc's trash can to receive a postcard from his uncle, Traveling Matt, a Fraggle exploring the real world. Poor Sprocket is an embodiment of the Snuffleupagus effect, as he lacks human blinders and can interact with the Fraggles, behavior that Doc can't understand and often scolds him for.
Oh, what happened? Sprocket, I know you don't like the smell of my seaweed specimens, but what you don't understand is that when it's properly dried and prepared, this seaweed is an excellent form of nutrition. And just because you don't agree with me doesn't give you the right to knock down my line. Huh? Your imaginary friends did it? Oh, Rocky, old boy, you get confused sometimes. Yes, this is an old house. Yes, there are holes in the wall. That's part of its charm. Huh? Sprocket, there are no little creatures living behind these walls.
Just past Doc's front door is the real world of humans. That which the Fraggles call outer space. One Fraggle, Gobo's Uncle Traveling Matt, has devoted himself to exploring this world and reporting back his findings on the humans, or silly creatures, as the Fraggles call us. The relationship between Doc's micro-community and the Fraggles is the thinnest in the show, but also eventually the most important. Doc is the connection between the real world and the Fraggles, facilitated through Uncle Matt's postcards, and in return, the Fraggles offer focus for Sprocket, who is usually just sleeping when Doc isn't around. And by the end of the series, Doc has become one of the few adult humans able to see and interact with the Fraggles, befriending them and completing the circuit, as it were. This happy medium comes about in the last episode as all the communities are now fully connected.
I'm losing my friend. My best friend.
It's losing its best friend. I know how that feels.
How can this be happening? It was always such a part of me and of everything I do.
Don't worry. I'm sure it'll be all right.
Who said? Who are you?
You mean you can see me?
Can't I?
I felt bad for you. That's how you touched me. Then I touched you. You're not just a silly creature. You're a you, aren't you?
I'm what?
A you, like me.
Where did you come from?
I'm a Fraggle. I live behind that hole.
A Fraggle? I don't believe it.
What's that?
Oh, it's
Oh, it honks. That's it. We're all a part of everything, and everything's a part of us. Even you.
The macrocosm of Fraggle Rock is a closed system. Outer space is vast and unknown to the Fraggles, but we know that nothing exists beyond it. However, Fraggles can go there, so it exists as a possibility for expansion, for future generations who might one day live side by side with humans. The caves, home to the merry Fraggles and industrious Doozers, teem with all manner of fantastic life, colors, experiences, and adventures. On the other side, nothing exists beyond the garden. Places and people in the Gorg kingdom are mentioned but never shown, making the Gorgs themselves unreliable narrators of their own history. They are possibly the last of a once populous people, representing the stagnation of traditionalism. In fact, the entire garden could be taken as a light metaphor for death, the trash heap being the elderly sum of a life's experience and wisdom, reflected upon before the end, before one goes beyond the garden and into the great unknown. There's a lot more to say about Fraggle Rock, and there will be more episodes focusing on them, but for now consider it the magic of the macrocosm, the worlds within the snow globe of the show's reality. Remember Jim Henson and his team, the visionaries who taught children so much by telling them to just dance their cares away. They did it right.
This episode contained footage owned by the Jim Henson Company, and our use is not meant to challenge that ownership or copyright. We present it solely on an informational basis. If you'd like to watch Fraggle Rock, the complete series is available on DVD.
grows in the rose, rock and rain and the blowing snowstorm. Everything seems to sing everywhere I go. I say 1, 2, play me do. Let me sound as sweet as you. Play me wide, play me long. Let me be your song.